That's what makes
Right.
us truly come alive, and we can identify with somebody else's humanity and serve them and get our eyes off of our problems and realize there's always somebody with a bigger fish to fry, for sure.
That you need to approach everybody and everything with empathy and sympathy. I think without that component and without that in your speech and in the way you interact with people, you live a pretty miserable life, to be quite blunt.
If you could give them in a sentence or two a remedy for healing, what would you say? And you said, I would tell them to walk out their front door, lock it behind them, and go to the other side of the town and serve somebody.
I heard a saying once, and it was triumph over trauma. And I didn't really understand what that meant for a while until I started to place it into my life. This trauma happened to me, but the world still spins, time still goes.
Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and we have got a really special show lined up. If you just tuned in, I want to encourage you that you can actually listen to this show anywhere podcasts are streamed. You can also watch us at yourhometv.com. It's a new program partner channel, and at YouTube at the 5-Star Life. But I want to jump in because we have a special guest. And if you are watching, you can see the sash across her chest. It is Kinley Shoemaker, who is Miss Indiana. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thanks for having me. This is so fun.
So this is wild. You know, hearing some of your story. At 15, you go through this. You're a victim of a violent act, and I can't imagine what that would have been like. And then at 16, your mom pushes you to, hey, let's go. Let's put ourselves out there. Let's get into Miss Teen Indiana. Talk a little bit to our audience. I know we have a lot of girls that will be listening to this, a lot of moms that will get their daughters and granddaughters to listen to this. Walk them through, and I'm not trying to be intrusive here. So, but to walk through what that was like from a mental perspective to go from maybe the darkest place you've ever been to then forcing yourself out through all the stuff to actually show up in step into the arena when you probably wanted to hide.
Right. Yeah, it's really crazy to look back too, because I was only 15. And I think of being 15 and outside of the horrific experience that was, you're also, that's like a pivotal year. I know that if any young girls or maybe moms that have had teenagers are listening, you know that that's a interesting age to be. It's a really the time that you're kind of figuring out who you are and what you want to do and what your passions are. I think that it was really difficult to navigate going from nothing ever happening bad in my life to me at all to having something really horrible happen and not knowing what to do with myself after. Like I said, luckily I had a great support system, and I still do have that support system that pushed me out of that spot. But I was still there mentally. You know, when I'd go to bed at night, I would cry probably, and it was hard. I mean, it's the truth. But I heard a saying once, and it was triumph over trauma, and
Mm.
I didn't really understand what that meant for a while until I started to place it into my life. This trauma happened to me, but the world still spins, time still goes, and you can't waste it by wishing that never happened to you or what would it be like if it didn't happen to you. You can just triumph. You can. It's easy. It really is. And it doesn't sound easy and it doesn't feel easy, but it is. Once you can just realize that your trauma does not define you and you triumph over that trauma, it feels like the world is endless. And so, whenever going into this new thing of pageantry, I was like, what in the world? But I realized this was the perfect time to find my voice again.
Mm.
And it's a new voice. It's not the same 15-year-old voice. I'm 16 and I've gone through something and I'm here on this stage and I'm going to tell you about it. And I'm going to tell you how you can take your trauma and triumph over that trauma. You know what I mean? So that was kind of what got me there, is just being the messenger. I became a messenger. I became an advocate. I decided that not only is I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that other women or people that have been through something I have know that they can triumph, but also know that what they're feeling is normal and that the opportunities are endless. So becoming that kind of messenger kind of immediately after really was the best choice for me because it helped me find my voice and get that message across to so many others. And I hope it hits with someone here too.
You took some powerful steps. I mean, that whole, triumph versus this whole trauma thing. I mean, that's such a powerful quote. But you didn't wait until you felt ready. You didn't wait until you felt like you're all healed up. That's really powerful. I think so many people get stuck thinking, I'm not ready. And I think those are the people that live their lives not ready. And I don't know if we're ever
Right.
ready. What would you say to the young ladies who maybe have been through something like that? What's a step or two they can take that maybe you took that helped you move forward?
Yeah. First of all, I hear you and I see you. If you're somebody that has experienced anything hard, especially a young woman like me, I hear you and I see you. And what I tell anybody that's listening is to change that mindset. That's really all you can do. You can really only control yourself in the way you're processing things every single day. Like I said, time doesn't stop, the world does spin still, and you still can take that time and create opportunities for yourself no matter what happened to you. I don't think that if I continued with the mentality that I'm not ready to talk about it, I'm not ready to be that messenger, I don't think I would be here today. You're never going to be ready. You said it the best. And so I just want anybody that is listening to maybe take that step and change that mindset first. Just start there and just kind of switch from I'm not ready to when's the best time and it's right now. You know what I mean? You got to switch that mindset.
The second thing you did is you said yes. One of the things that I tell kids from 11 years old to 22 years old, I just say, listen, um, for the next 10 years of your life, make one three-letter word your best and most repeated word, and that's yes. Yes, I'll
Yes.
volunteer. Yes, I'll do the pageant. Yes, I'll go out for the team. Yes, 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 because the yes is the avenue through which you find out what you're made of. And some yeses, they're miserable. You find out, like, I can check that box, don't need to do that again. And other yeses lead to Miss Indiana. So kudos to you for saying yes when your mom pushed you. I, I want to pivot a little bit though. I asked you a question to address some girls, young ladies. Uh, Talk to our young men. Um, what would you say to young men? We don't talk enough about this in society. Um, it's become almost taboo to talk about to young men about how to treat young women. Talk and give them some advice. Uh, how what would you say to the young men?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say that these young men are also as valid as the young women, but here's the thing: you can't. This is kind of hard to word the way that I'm seeing it in my brain. That's how my brain works. You have to be able to recognize that how you treat people starting from day one will affect how they perceive you and other people for the rest of their life. So, as a young man, if you if you treat a young woman meanly, horribly, or wrong, you're going to probably screw her up for a little bit. And you're going to make her the way that she perceives other men in the future or your other young men bad. You know what I mean? Is that worth it? Is that ever going to be worth it? And it happens both ways. And I just think it's one of those things that we have to really think about how we're treating people very, very intentionally, especially in those young years, because it's transformative. And if you say the wrong thing or you do the wrong thing or you hurt someone, you never know what that could do to their mental. And I say that to both young men and women. But in this instance, to young men, I just want to say that you are strong and powerful, but so are young women. And I think we should all unite in that and remember how to treat one another.
Man, that's well said. And what can we do to build each other up like young men? How can you build up young women? Young women, how can you build up young men? Do you think social media is helping in that endeavor or hurting? Helping more, hurting more?
This is always so difficult because there's good and bad, but I think at this point in time, I think it's hurting more. I do. I think that there's some great. I've had the great opportunity of sharing my story and my experience through social media primarily, and it's reached way more people than it would just an audience with no video, you know? And I think that's the beautiful thing about it. It creates community, it creates a conversation that maybe you don't have access to alone. But I also think we're seeing romanticization of these wrong relationships and of romance and the way it just I think that social media has a way of corrupting the way that we see things in person now, and I think you just have to have that balance. I don't think it's entirely bad, and I think if we can leverage the good only, it can just be pure good.
Yeah. How have I'm just curious, like, how does Miss Indiana, how have you navigated your use of social media?
Yeah. I just like to share when I can and just share what I want. You know, I made a promise on the Miss Indiana stage during one of my questions. I got to talk about nutrition as my topic during the final five question. And that's not the exact same thing, but I promised I'm not going to lie. I told them on stage, I'm going to go eat a burger right after this pageant concludes. And I sure did. And that's just kind of the way I want to communicate on social media. Social media is pretty fake overall. It's not real. You choose the narratives that come across on social media. You can edit your pictures, edit videos, you can take things out, put things in. And I think I just personally, the way I do it is I recognize that and I don't use social media to abuse that. I like to just be real, raw, and show what I'm up to. And hopefully, some people want to hang out with me and talk to me, and we can do things together. But outside of that, I try to really prioritize in person connections because I think we're losing that as a society so bad. I think we're losing it, but I like to prioritize it because I think that also means more than just a comment or a like on a post. So it's a like I said before, it's a great balance that I'm trying to still master at this time. I'm not close to perfect, but I'm working on it. I think that it's an interesting topic to explore.
What would you say to specifically young ladies? And we're going to take a quick break here in about 40 seconds. But what would you say to them about the way social media can mess up the way they view themselves?
It's entertainment. It's not it shouldn't be inspiration. It shouldn't be this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh, look, they're at the beach. I'm not. It's entertainment. So use it for entertainment. Play games or scroll on TikTok and enjoy the things you like. But once you see something you don't like or you don't feel, just scroll. You have the power. Do it, you know?
Mm, that's a good word. All right. Thank you for that, Kinley. And we're going to take another quick commercial break. And again, if you haven't done this yet, make sure you're texting your friends and family that have young ladies. Shoot, anybody. This is just good stuff for everybody. Talking about mindset and really getting your dream in front of you again and going after it. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after this. At Five Star Life, we talk a lot about the right tools. See, the hammer is the courage to be the best person you can be. The chisel is the respect you give and the respect you earn. The level, that's the integrity that keeps you balanced in a world that's always shifting. And the saw represents responsibility. It is what separates you from harmful actions and experience. It's the sacrifice it takes to work hard and be your best. Tools, when they're all used together, things are built. There's progress, but where there are no tools, there can be no progress. We give these important tools to kids every single day, and we couldn't do it without our partners like Global Link Distribution. Global Link supports this mission so that these values, courage, respect, integrity, responsibility, and sacrifice become the tools these amazing young people use to become great. Global Link Distribution is a leader and supplier to the RV, manufactured housing, cabinet shop, cargo, and horse trailer industries, but they're also a proud sponsor of this program to help Five Star Life students thrive. It is our turn to see to it that our children have the tools that build greatness. Volunteer or donate today at fivestarlife.org. Welcome back to the Five Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and we are having a really fun conversation with Kinley Shoemaker. Miss Indiana is in the house. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Man, the last segment, we went kind of deep, and it's so interesting because there, there is, there's still some people that have a stigma about pageantry, and like, oh, it's just for pretty girls, or and they don't get it. I remember 20 years ago, I met, we had a girl on staff who was into pageantry, and I grew up playing sports. I knew nothing about Miss America. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing thing. It's like, and I started telling people with girls, like, you need to get your girls involved because they're teaching these girls so much about dignity and integrity and how to present and how to walk and how to be confident. So I love it. But just address this for a second. Address for those people that think, well, like, what is this? Just a beauty contest? Talk about that and what truly this is for girls.
Yeah, and I think the least major component of pageantry today is quote unquote beauty. It's beauty of the internal, your heart, your mind, your soul. That beauty is definitely a big part of it. But there's not an external component, and I think that's the biggest stigma in pageantry to break. I went to Miss America this past September, and I was with 50 other women from different states, and the most impressive and inspiring group of people I've ever been around. You've got lawyers, you've got doctors, you've got former military women. I mean, it's insane. And not once is did we talk about makeup or hair or beauty. I mean, of course we like to do that. It's fun. We get some pictures taken. We get to walk in beautiful gowns, but it's not about the way you look. It's about the other components you learn from that in interview. You learn how to speak. You learn how to communicate your thoughts quickly and articulately, and you won't get that pretty much anywhere else on stage. Like you said, that confidence, that walking, that I didn't even know. I was horrified of that part. I was like, oh no, get me out of these heels. I'm scared. But now I can walk around in heels, strutting around like I own the room because that's how pageantry has made me feel. So there's a lot of different components, and we can focus on the external beauty, but we can also look at the tens of thousands other of reasons to be a part of pageantry. So if you're a mom or you have a daughter or someone that's interested, tell them just to do it. Trust me.
One of the things I love about pageantry is it forces you to have a platform and it forces you to kind of think critically about, well, who am I and what is my, like, what do I want to support? Like what matters? What makes my heart beat fast? What problem do I want to address? Like, most people don't think about that. I mean, most adults still don't think about that. How has that helped shape you?
Oh, it's been amazing. It's about what had happened to me. It's about my trauma. So my platform is called Rise Then Shine, and it's all about overcoming trauma through community engagement and empowerment. So when what happened to me in 20, and it was in 2020, or yeah, 2020 or 2019. Anyway, COVID hit, and I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. And I started volunteering. I spent over 500 plus hours at our local food pantry because I was so lost. And I knew that giving back was the only way that I was going to get my heart to beat right again. And that's what I have found, but it's not the same for everybody. Some people are find their love on stage with music or in their mirror singing in the shower. You know what I mean? It's about finding what serves you to get your heart beating again after something horrible happens to you. So my platform is something super special to me, and it's all about that mindset. It's not necessarily anything crazy, but I want to get that message out there that you got to change that mindset in order to succeed after something happens to you. And if you don't, you might feel stuck, and that's how you're going to get out of it.
Wow. You know, you give people a lot of grace, like, find what works for you. But what you did, what worked for you, is actually steeped in research. I read an article from a psychologist who actually was a psychiatrist. He was retired, a very famous, well known, one of the most renowned psychiatrists in the world. And he was interviewed after retiring. They said, if you could sum up um, how to be healthy if someone's going through depression or anxiety or trauma or something really bad, if you could give them in a sentence or two a remedy for healing, what would you say? And you said, I would tell them to walk out their front door, lock it behind them, and go to the other side of the town and serve somebody. There's
Yep.
something so powerful when sometimes we think, and I love this part of your story, Kenley, that you didn't find who you are and get on this path because you were focused on your own beauty and your own this and your own that. You found it through serving.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. And I think so many people
Yes.
miss that part of it. That's what makes
Right.
us truly come alive. And we can, identify with somebody else's humanity and serve them and get our eyes off of our problems and realize there's always somebody with a bigger fish to fry for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was a big part of my development of my service initiative because I wanted to incorporate my love for community service because I think in the world of pageantry, there's so many people that are receptive to getting out in their community, but there's a lot of people outside of pageantry that have never spent time in their community. And I think if you can just address that in your brain, like, hey, this happened to me and I don't know what to do with myself or how to feel fulfilled, I challenge you by, like you said, step out your front door and go serve someone because you're going to feel fulfilled through that. And yeah, I like what you said about that. That's very true, and that's what fueled my service initiative for Miss Indiana.
Okay, talk to me about nutrition. I love all the health, nutrition stuff, and everybody here is smiling right now because they know it's true. Talk about how you found a fascination in nutrition.
So I didn't find a fascination in nutrition. I pulled a card out on stage. They had different words on them, and mine happened to be nutrition,
Okay.
which is very, very funny if you know me because I love to eat. And I have tried to develop some healthy habits after going to college, especially once I'm not in my parents' house anymore where they're telling me what to eat. Basically, I had to kind of be on my own there and figure out, okay, how am I going to eat? And my most important message is love what you're eating, but you have to love the body that's eating it as well. So if you're eating something that you know is not going to make you feel good, let's think about that. And I think that's how I personally have approached nutrition, especially preparing for Miss America and after Miss America as Miss Indiana, is making sure I'm fueling my body with something I love and my body loves as well.
Well, that's good. That's a good word. That's so simple, but so practical. Okay. What else, Kinley, can you, what haven't I asked that I should have asked that you want to talk to young ladies or young men about?
Yeah, I just think it's really, really important to acknowledge that everybody is very, very different in the way that they process and communicate. And so, my message to any young woman or man that is listening would be to realize that you need to approach everybody and everything with empathy and sympathy. I think without that component and without that in your speech and in the way you interact with people, you live a pretty miserable life, to be quite blunt. So I guess that's the only missing factor that I'd like to leave with the listeners out there. If you don't take anything else away from this conversation, take away the word empathy and implement it into your conversations with everyone that you encounter.
Um, wow. You're going to do so, like, Miss Indiana is such a huge accomplishment, but this is, you're not going to look back, you're going to look back at your life and say, wow, that was a great moment, but your life is going to keep growing and growing. Like, I'm listening to your heart and your mind and your ability to connect with people. And I just think that the world needs more of you and what you said, more empathy, because you look at the political space, you look at really everything from education to entertainment. I mean, all that ever gets highlighted and celebrated, not all, but like 85, 90% of it is what? People that are just going at each other and acting like immature, you know, um,
Right.
children that have no manners. There's no empathy. There's no kindness. And I think your message of empathy, I think can heal a nation. I think it can heal the world. And I just wish people would stop to realize like that's a human being with dreams and hopes. And they're somebody's kid and they probably have kids. So I love what you're saying about empathy. It's really good.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's very important.
Uh,
Very, very important.
One thing I didn't bring up is anytime you experience success, there are always people that are jealous or there's haters that come out of the woodwork. How have you dealt with that?
Dude, I honestly really haven't had to as much, and it's not because it doesn't exist. It's just because I don't welcome it into my space and my brain and myself. I just can't. I don't have time for it. Not because I don't have time for it, but because I shouldn't have time for it, and you shouldn't either, and no one should. It's not something that serves you. Then you don't have to listen to it. You don't have to take hatred or jealousy or anger. You just got to block it out and tune it out, and just remember your core values inside. And spend time with people that don't make you feel that way, that cheer you on, that uplift you. And I just think that it's a choice to entertain those sort of people and that sort of experience. And I've had the pleasure of choosing not to do that and not to be a part of that. And I think that when you are able to do that, to choose, just protect your peace.
Hmm. That is powerful. Um, that's really strong. I think there's some people listening, some girls listening that needed to hear that. Um, I'm this. I think I live in this very naive state, not because I'm necessarily super naive, but because I choose to be, and because I think people are amazing, and I think everybody loves me, and I just go ahead and choose to believe that. So I'm like that. Yeah, they love me, and they love me, and that's how I live. And people actually on my staff have tell they're not for you. I'm like, oh yeah, they are. And so they actually have staff that helps me with that to make sure I don't put myself in bad situations. But I think that's
I
an
love that.
incredible trait because it's really hard to fly and grow and soar with all those anchors.
For sure.
Yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
Okay. We have like 45 seconds. Okay. Where is Miss Indiana go next? What's life
I
look like? Where do you want to
am
go?
I'm graduating in May, next May. So not this coming May, next May. So I'm studying communications and I'm going to keep doing my thing, talking on the mic. Maybe I'll get to host a podcast one day, just like you. I don't know what is in store for sure yet, but I know that I want to keep being that messenger that I talked about earlier. I want to keep being that voice for people that maybe don't have a voice or aren't comfortable sharing theirs. And that's how I'm going to portray, hopefully, in every aspect of my life. So, whatever's next, I'm ready for it. I got to get through college first. Everyone wish me luck and go dogs because I'm a Butler Bulldog.
That is phenomenal. All right. Kinley Shoemaker, Miss Indiana was in the house. Thank you so much for taking time to share with our audience. Good luck, and you don't need it, but you're going to thrive and continue to change the world. I love your platform. I love that you represent goodness and helping people really switch their mindset and really thrive. So thank you again. We're out of time. Kudos to you. I want to acknowledge the person you are. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.